Hello YouTube, I am going to be telling you top 6 favorite James Bond actors. My 6th favorite actor, 6th being the least, 1 being, 6 being the least favorite, 1 being my favorite. My least favorite, I'm going to have to go with George Lazenby. He only did one film, and his acting was not too great. I mean, he wasn't that experienced, so I think that's what it was. He had only done like a French fry commercial for, I think it was called like Big Fry, something like that. But I gotta say, the action sequences are really good with him. He does a good job in the action sequences. He did a lot of his own fight scenes and stunts and stuff, and I think that was pretty cool. So, and I like On Her Majesty's Secret Service, but it's kind of slow if I think about it. But it's got some good points in it. I mean, the music video, I like the song. It's like dun 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 dun. You know, I think it's a pretty good tune. It's actually in a skate video. That tune with Tony Hawk. If you like that song and you're really into skateboarding and you're a fan of Tony Hawk and vert skating, and you want to see really good vert skating, search Tony Hawk The End. It's from around 1998. You should be able to find it on YouTube. I don't know if you'll be able to find the whole video full length, but you should be able to find that piece full length. Number 5. I'm going to go with Sean Connery. Now, this might seem kind of harsh, but personally, I'm not really a fan of a lot of the earlier ones. So that's why I'm putting Sean Connery number 5. Actually, no. Number 5, I'm going to put... Okay, number 5 or 4, I'm putting either Sean Connery or Roger Moore. Number 5, let's say Sean Connery, because I really only go for one of his films, but one of his films I really like, and that's You Only Live Twice from 1967, and I really like that one. I feel like that one there has like the most action out of all the Sean Connery films, which is why I like it. Also, like, the sets are really pretty cool, but you know, the sets are like really good in a lot of the films, basically, just about all of them. And I'd say that I like that one. Yeah, I like that particular Bond film of Connery's the best. I like that more than Goldfinger, personally. Goldfinger, I don't feel the action is done that well. I mean, I forgive it because it's the 60s, but I just don't really go for it as much. Some people will probably say, like, what? You don't like Goldfinger that much? Like, well, I mean, like, I'm in my early 20s, but still, I just don't really go for Goldfinger all that much, 1964. Even though I know a lot of other people go for it, I would rather watch You Only Live Twice, because I think it's just a better film, because the action is done better. And I think it's a little more fast-paced in a way, at least to me. As for the song, I'm not sure if I like the song better than Goldfinger's song. So, I'm not really sure if I can say which song I like better. Maybe someday I'll get to that, though. But I'll say I like them both. Putting Roger Moore in a tie with Sean Connery, because also I don't really go for a whole lot of his films, like as much either, because I tend to look at Bond films as being action films, and I like to be realistic action, and I like it to be serious, kind of like serious in a way. And I'd say I kind of like more better than Connery in a way, because I feel like he looks more the part of Bond in a way, if that sounds kind of strange. Yeah. I really like, this is going to sound kind of strange, but I actually really like A View to a Kill as my favorite Bond film of Roger Moore's. I felt like that was his best because of the fact that I feel like it's got the most action. And I look for action, and I feel like it's got the most action, the best action out of all 6 of Roger Moore's Bond films. And I really like that one. The theme song I really like. Eventually, I think I might do a review on all the Bond films. Some might be lengthy, some might be shorter. GoldenEye, I don't know if I'm going to review that one, only because I already reviewed it, and I would probably just say a lot of the same stuff. But who knows, maybe I'll do a more in-depth review someday because of the fact that it's such a short review. Okay, number 4 for my favorite Bond actors, I'm gonna go with either Timothy Dalton or Daniel Craig. Now this one's kind of almost a tie for me. It's kind of a toss-up because, well, let me start with Craig first. I really like Craig. I think he is excellent. But my problem is that I kind of feel that he doesn't quite look the part of Bond all entirely. I'll get to that later in this review. But I really like Skyfall. I'd say that's my favorite Bond film out of the Daniel Craig Bond films yet so far. And then I do like Casino Royale a lot. I think Martin Campbell should direct more Bond films. I think he's excellent. GoldenEye, that's my top favorite Bond film. And it's because of the way it's directed, and I'll get to a little more about that later in this review, I think. And I really like Craig is because of the fact that he does a lot of his own stunts, and I appreciate that. Like, for example, in Casino Royale, like the foot chase, I mean, most of that was all him doing that. When you see him, most of it was all him. When he takes the digger and stuff, and when he's running around, and I think when he jumps on the car as well. Excuse me. The only times like he had a stunt double is when he was like real high up at one point on the big crane or whatever it was, and he's fighting with the guy. At one point, they brought in a stunt double. That's understandable because if you fall on that or something, you can get hurt badly or something. Even though you got like bungee cords and stuff, when you're that high up, that could be kind of scary. I understand that. I also like Quantum of Solace a lot as well. At first, I did not like Quantum of Solace at all the first time I saw it in the theater, but then like 2 or 3 more times I saw it, I ended up seeing it on DVD, and I was like, you know what, this is actually a good film. It's just at first, it was just the way it was paced, like the way it was edited. It was because of the way it was directed and edited. I wasn't really crazy about Mark Forster at the time, the way he directed it. My number 2 favorite, or maybe this is number 3. Let me see, I went 6, was Lazenby. 5, was Connery. 4 was Moore. Okay, 3 was Craig. And now this one here also... Okay, Craig is actually number 2 or 3 for me. And I'm going to say what? Then number 2 or 3 for me is Timothy Dalton. Reason I, in a way, kind of pick him over Craig is because I feel he looks more the part of Bond. In some ways, like, when I first saw, like, some covers for all the James Bond films, or a handful of them, I actually thought a lot of the actors were, like, the same guy. A lot of people playing Bond were the same guy. But, like, some I noticed, like, looked a lot different. So I thought maybe Timothy Dalton and Pierce Brosnan were possibly the same guy, as well as, like, Roger Moore. And I thought that's just, like, they just aged a certain way or something, so they looked a little different, and it was just a way of aging. I didn't know until, like, I started watching, like, License to Kill, and I watched GoldenEye, that all of a sudden I looked at the names, I'm like, oh wait, it's 2 different people or something. I didn't realize it at first. Like, the first time I really started watching James Bond films was around 2006, in the spring, I think it was. And first time I really played started playing James Bond video games was probably maybe 2005. Yeah, I was 12. So I get into James Bond through the video games at first. First Bond game I played, I think it was Nightfire. Yeah, and I had gotten that, and that's a great game. I may review that someday. And another reason why I like Dalton is because he does a lot of his own stunts as well. Like in License to Kill, like, if you watch there's a sequence where he's using a plane, and he's, like, flying a plane, and, like, I think he was fighting Sanchez in the plane, or he's fighting some other guy, and there was a bunch of money in there, something like that, and he just did a really good job on it, I'd say, on that stunt. And in The Living Daylights, I mean, like, right off the bat, I mean, like, he did a lot of his own stunts as well. I'm just gonna check, make sure this really is recording. Good. Just checking. Yeah, so he did a lot of his own stunts, so I like him because of that, and I really like License to Kill. I think that's a great Bond film. I agree with Rambo Raffaello that that's pretty underrated. In terms of, like, an action film, I mean, I agree with Rambo Raffaello that that's pretty underrated. I really like that film. But I gotta say, in some ways, it's kind of slow. At times, a little bit. Maybe. I think. I haven't seen it in a little while. It's been a little while. I just kind of need a break from a lot of the Bond films because I've seen a lot of the newer ones. I need a break from because I've seen them so many times. So I just need a break. But yeah, I do like The Living Daylights as well as License to Kill. Tues, Bond. Little history for you, in case you didn't know. Dalton, he did 2 Bond films. 1987, The Living Daylights, which was the 15th Bond film. Then he did the 16th Bond film in 1989, License to Kill. And if that name sounds familiar, License to Kill, there's also another License to Kill film. I think it's with Denzel Washington, but I might be mistaken for somebody else. Because I've seen, like, it in, like, stores, and I'm like, what the heck, there's another License to Kill? That's kind of strange. Something. I think it came out in the 90s somewhere. I don't think I have any real interest in seeing it, because it's not the Bond film. License to Kill, I mean, like, I think the villain is great in it, played by Robert Davi, and I'll get into that another time. I like how he's intense at times as well, and also like how Daniel Craig is very intense at times as well, almost all the time. Like, he's very serious. So it's kind of a toss-up between them because of that. If Daniel Craig had black hair, though, because of the fact that I kind of feel Bond should have black hair, I guess, because I think that's the way Ian Fleming wrote it. I mean, I haven't read all the novels. I don't plan to. I'm more into watching the movies. I'm not much of a book reader. I mean, I read comic books sometimes, once in a while, but sometimes, I mean, I've read a few James Bond novels. For example, like I've read Goldeneye by John Gardner, uh, which I gotta say is very good, very true to the movie. I think it's pretty much based off the movie, but it goes more in depth. If you really love the movie Goldeneye, if you really love the video game Goldeneye, and you just would like more Goldeneye, I would seriously suggest like ordering the book online, or if you find it in a thrift store somewhere, it'll probably be like $5 or something at a thrift store, maybe not even that, because it's like 21 years old, because that's how old Goldeneye is. And now I'm going to get to my number one favorite James Bond actor, and I'd say my number one favorite James Bond actor is Pierce Brosnan, because the fact that it's probably because he's the first Bond actor I really saw, and I really love Goldeneye a lot, and I just feel that like he looks exactly the way that Bond should look, in my opinion. This is the way I feel. Like I feel like Bond, he should have his hair like Pierce Brosnan does in Goldeneye. He should look like he does in a tux. He should have like intensity to him, but also have like a little bit of humor and stuff, and be suave like he is in it. And I love that film Goldeneye. I also love Tomorrow Never Dies. I mean, I also really like Tomorrow Never Dies a lot. I do like The World Is Not Enough. I think it's pretty good, but I think I actually like other Bond films better, and I'd say I may actually like You Only Live Twice better. And I'm not a big fan of the earlier Bond films, like I said, like with Connery and more. I'm not really into a lot of the earlier ones as much. And so, yeah, basically, yeah, so it's probably because of that. Like, when I remember started seeing Bond on screen, I remember seeing, like, trailers for Die Another Day, which I don't think that one's that good at all. It just seems so silly, and it seems like, it feels like a PG movie to me, even though it's rated PG-13, because of just the way the pacing goes and everything throughout the film. Well, I mean, not the pacing, it's just the way it's directed. I think it's just Tim Horry was the main one to blame because he used all this ridiculous CGI and stuff. And some things are just were totally fake. And I might go more in depth on that one day if I review that one at some point. I don't know if that'll be a rant at all. I think it'll mainly be a review that might feel like a rant to a lot of other people. And so, I don't know if you can see, but yeah, I got a James Bond t-shirt on. And it shows all the Bond actors. I'm trying to see. From what I can tell, I'm pretty sure this is Roger Moore. Right here. Let's hope you can see. Pretty sure this is Pierce Brosnan. It's just a little hard for me to see because I'm looking like forward here. Then this right here is Daniel Craig. Here's Sean Connery. This is a lot of people's favorite, I know. There's Timothy Dalton. And then there's George Lazenby. Then it has the 007 logo. Yeah, so that's my top 6 favorite Bond actors and why. I think I'll eventually get to doing reviews of all the Bond films. Don't expect it to be anytime soon. Don't expect it to be all within like weeks or months or even a year. I may just do one occasionally. I may do different films. There's different films I'd like to review. There might be a film that might come out in theaters that I might see, that I might decide to review. That I see. I might want to review something just totally random. I might even review like X Games this year for anybody interested. I mean, the X Games Austin 2016, which is June 2nd to the 5th. I'm a big X Games fan when it comes to skateboarding, big air, BMX big air, skateboard BMX big air doubles, as well as I like to watch skateboard vert and BMX vert. I wish that like they would, with the ramps for vert, that they would have more like features and like transitions and things like that again, because it opens up a new bag of trick for the skaters, and I think it also opens up a new bag of trick for the BMX riders, and it makes it more interesting because it's like it's not just like two walls like it's been since 2008. I think it has to do with the economy of why it's probably just cheaper for them to make the ramps they have been lately. And if you're a big fan of X Games, maybe even if you're not, but you're curious about the X Games, it's going to be on ESPN networks and ABC next week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They're also going to have a preview show on either Saturday or Sunday in the afternoon on ABC on the World of X Games. I would look for it. If you don't have cable or DirecTV or something like that, I would look up. You should be able to watch it online on ESPN. I mean, watchespn.com. It should be on watchespn.com. I'll try to find it. Search X Games. I might even show something like on my Facebook, like a link to it or something, at some point maybe. Or somebody will probably, but don't expect it though. And some people might end up uploading it to YouTube, different contests to YouTube, so I would walk out for that within the coming weeks or next month, as people usually do that. And so, okay, I'm kind of rambling on about the X Games now, and this is supposed to be a James Bond review. So, I'm gonna call this video right here. I'd love it if you comment, if you want to subscribe, like this video, favorite it, whatever. I'd like that. See ya. Bye.